Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Today it's going to be a 3v3 fastest map ever here on Space, sent to me by a subscriber like you. And it's going to be very, very intense, very, very hard to follow, but I'll do my very best. Okay, so we're going to have Team North, represented by the White Protoss player Whitera, and it's not Whitera, you guys, and the Blue Zerg player Conviction, and their teammate, the Brown Protoss player Spectre. Team South is going to be the Teal Terran player Legendary, the Yellow Protoss player Friendly, and the Purple Terran player Cheat. Okay, so 3v3 here, top versus bottom on fastest map ever. If this is your first time seeing this kind of a thing, well, let's just go ahead and say it all comes down to a glitch where you can stack minerals on top of each other to look like one giant mineral patch or a normal mineral patch with a lot of minerals in it, 50,000 to be exact, and then plop down a nexus next to it in the map editor. You cannot do that in the game. If this gets destroyed, you cannot put a nexus here because it's too close to the minerals, right? So if your command center or hatchery or nexus gets destroyed, you're out of luck. Alright, so there's only a Zerg player here. Conviction is going to go ahead and throw up a hatchery right here to create a choke with lots of sunkens. And yeah, two gateway opening. Let's see. Yes, 2 gate opening from the top 2 Protoss. I have a feeling they're going to go a lot of Zealots here. Zealots are pretty darn good. Pretty darn good against Marines in this situation. And yeah, here we go. 3 gates here from your Southern Protoss. Bunch of barracks here from your Southern Terran player, the only Terran player on the map. We have 1 Zerg and 1 Terran player, and a whole darn lot of Protoss. So we'll see how this works out. A lot of people are scouting, trying to see what's going on as far as who spawned where, and it looks like very nicely both teams spawned directly opposite of each other. I'm not sure if that's exactly how this works on this map. If you come in as a team, you're going to spawn on the same side of the map as each other, or if it possibly could have been, left versus right, or if you could have been surrounded by enemies. I feel like we've seen that before. Maybe it's just complete luck this time around, right? Complete luck that everybody spawned right next to each other. We have a bit of a buffer here between the two teams, and it should allow for a little bit, maybe less craziness in the early stages. But maybe that's what you're here for. Maybe you're like, Falcon, I want craziness in the early stages. Well, maybe you do. Anyway, we've got a creep colony coming up. We have some defensive zealots on the right, defensive zealots coming in on the left. We have a probe coming back home after scouting, and a marine holding, yeah, marines and zealots holding their own chokes. So nobody's being aggressive at this stage of the game. We do have a very sneaky probe here from Friendly. He might try to throw up some sneaky stuff in the top corner. He's yellow, though. He's easy to see on the minimap. We'll see if that gets spotted at all. Looks like Whitera going to scout around, trying to see, is there a... Oh, there is a probe up there. He saw it. I think he caught a glimpse of it, and he's not going to allow that thing to hide. It's definitely going to die. Marines moving up a little bit. Zealots moving up a little bit. Marines look to be moving out as well. And yeah, that probe did get hacked down. And now we've got, what else here? We've got Sunkens, just basically Sunkens from the Zerg player, throwing up additional hatcheries, having 1 extractor right now. So really looking to drone up at this stage of the game. Zealots moving out from Team North. Look like they want to kind of push the issue here. Going to come up against Friendlies, Zealots, and Marines. And we're going to pull back, recognizing the threat of what we're dealing with right now. Alright, so I guess pulling back to the Sunkens is what you want to do here if you're Team North. You don't want to engage without the effects of that static defense. Pulling back here, that Sunken is getting some decent shots off there. Coming around to help as well is Spectre, and getting right on top of these Marines. Zealot versus Zealot action. Hard to tell who's who, actually, but backing these Marines into a corner. I think all these Marines are going to die, except for the ones that are smart enough to go ahead and get the heck on out of there. And yes, a lot of them are going to get on out. A bunch of them are going to stick around, and surprisingly, this dude has not been killed. Now the Marines are starting to do very, very well as they are microing, as it looks like they do have the stim upgrade, as they were moving very quickly for a second there. But a lot more Zealots coming in from Team North's gateways. A lot of Sunkens being tossed down here. Now, here was what we need from the Zerg player. We need you to tech up to something. Your Sunkens are useful, yes, but you also need to tech. You cannot just continue making Sunkens for the entire game. We've seen that before on the channel. Factory on the way, and is anybody making a factory over here? No, actually, Purple wants to go just basically mass Marines at this stage. I don't see him with a fac. He's just going for supply depots, academies, engineering bays, and whatnot. Looks like he's really just going to go for Marines. Maybe Firebats. Honestly, Firebats are pretty fantastic against Zealots. Real bad against buildings, though. As it turns out, like a mass fire bat play, just catching these zealots in the middle of the map would be better, I think, than the Marines would. Assuming the Marines aren't microed exceptionally well, which I don't think we've seen to this stage. Anyway, Spectre does get supply blocked by losing that pylon. Unfortunately, Lurker Aspect on the way from the Zerg player, the only one on the map, Conviction. And our Terran friend here just getting that stim, getting those barracks all day long. It's going to be Marines. It's going to be medics. I like it. I like it from Purple here. So, throwing up cannons. Again, they talked about this earlier. They want to take the mid. They want to make sure it's a little bit harder to push out for the other team. They're going to go ahead and run up against static defense and a bunch of whole stuff here. Marines checking to see, is there anything being taken on the left side? The whole army coming over to see what's going on there, and absolutely not. Does anybody have upgrades at this stage? It looks like no. Nobody's particularly worrying about upgrades, with the exception of our friendly Marine player here. And again, it's hard to tell the Zealots versus the Zealots. It's really kind of weird. A lot of cannons at the front, hard to deal with if you just have Marines, if you just have Zealots here. Really want to see some Reavers, really want to see if we can get some tanks out of this friendly only making barracks player, so maybe not. Spire on the way from Conviction. I really like what I'm seeing from this guy. He's already got his Queen's Nest. He's likely going to go for a hive at some point. He's getting additional extractors up there on the right side. And so many cannons tossing up, so many Sunkens here as well. Anybody have upgrades yet for Team North? Not really. 0% on the upgrades. We still don't have upgrades yet for our purple player Cheat, but he's working on it at the very least. As I look across this here, yeah, so Legendary also working on just Marines. He's got some fire bats in here. He's working on the upgrades too. Did I say there was one Terran on each team? That was a lie. Or one Terran, period. That was a lie. I might have meant to say one Terran on each team down here with a Legendary, as obviously he's going for factory. He's going to start throwing up some tanks probably to break this front, which seems like a pretty darn intelligent thing to do. So both players are just in a standoff and a face-off right now. These pylons are coming up all over the place. They are just allowing this brown player to do whatever he wants. Spectre to make this thing happen. Firebats fighting, man. They don't have the upgrades yet, but that's totally fine. Medevacs healing up Zealots is such a great combination. Really, Medevacs healing anything is really good. It increases the power level by like 1,000%, it feels like. Which is why Bio was so bad in StarCraft. So amazing in a Brood War is because of the medics. Anyway, I mean, Brood War the expansion came out very, very soon. I actually watched like a 45-minute thing on the making of Doom that John Romero, he presented in Sweden like a while ago. This guy, they put out a press release with a team of 5 people. They were going to release Doom in 9 months before they'd even started on the game. They're like, no, we got this, no big deal. Yeah, team of 5 people. We're like, what up? We're going to release one of the most influential video games of all time in 9 months, and they did it. It's absolutely nuts how game development was in the 90s. Brood War as well. StarCraft comes out. Brood War comes out a few months later, and it's not a big deal. It's really kind of amazing how quickly you could do video game programming back in the day. Marines are just running to their deaths here. Just not looking good at all for Mr. Cheat. He just keeps running his guys to the death. Pull them back. Where are the tanks? Here's a tank from Legendary. Is he bringing more up? By golly, he is. He's got siege mode, which is fantastic. Our Zerg player, I'm really concerned about him. Additional hatcheries all over the place. He does have that hive. He's working on upgrades for his flying units. Guardians, I think, would be pretty good here to break the front. We are just absolutely having the standoff of all standoffs in the middle section right now. Nobody really wants to try to push this. Nobody really wants to try to get across this no man's land. It's very World War I right here. We have the trenches. We have no man's land. We have the trenches back here. I assume there are fewer instances of trench foot and other diseases in the soldiers back here, as they're all pretty futuristic, and if they're going to die, it's going to be in battle, not because of disease, which is really not how it's been on Earth for the most part. A lot of soldiers die from disease. As a result of battle sometimes, but it's as a result sometimes as just poor living conditions and diseases spreading. Templar Archives on the way here from Spectre. We do have that Greater Spire coming up for Conviction. And Storm being researched by White Raw from Team North. Mutabomb, says Cheat. Is there a Mutabomb? I don't see one. High Templar are here in case anybody decides to make a move. And absolutely not. I mean, everybody's just basically been allowed to do whatever they want for this entire game so far. Nobody's been really dropped on. Nobody's been bothered. A lot of cannons defending our top left-hand player, White Raw. Do we have the same situation here from Spectre? We do. We have missile turrets up and bunkers trying to protect his mining area. as from Legendary. Friendly doing the same thing with a ton of cannons, and then bunkers all over the place here from Cheat. Because again, he's not... Oh, and now he's making tanks. I was going to say, he's not interested in making tanks, but he's got a bunch of factories now. So it sure seems like he is. A lot of missile turrets on the way here too. Are we going to push in? No. Are we just... Everyone is maxed out. Whiterow's maxed out. So is Friendly right now. Basically on Zealots and Dragoons. Any upgrades yet? Still no upgrades from really most people across the board here. With, again, the exception of our Terran players who go for 1-1. And are they working on additional upgrades? Not... Well, yes. Actually, Legendary is. But going for mech upgrades now instead is Cheat. So who's going to make the first move? Who's going to set off the Tinderbox? Here we go! Coming right on down here with all of his Zealots is Whiterow. I don't know about this, man. There's cannons helping with this, though, but both players, Brown and White, Spectre and Whiterow, are coming down effectively by themselves right now to fight this great storm on the left side on that bio. That is why you don't see bio versus Zerg or versus Protoss all that much. It's because of that storm effectiveness. Just absolutely running in. We're in an absolutely chaotic, ridiculous situation we're looking at right now. It's even hard to tell who's necessarily winning, although there is a lot of brown on the minimap left over. The white is not as much. There are still some High Templars sitting here, I guess, but I'm going to guess that Team South is going to go ahead and hold here with reinforcements coming up from Cheat. Reinforcements wandering in from Legendary too, but oh my gosh, it's the Guardians. The Guardians are here. They have +1 attack. They are wrecking these Dragoons. One of the Guardians does go down, but the tanks are in trouble. Great irradiate. Great multiple irradiates on the Guardians, trying to split off as best as they can. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Meanwhile, drops... actually, those aren't drops. Those are drops going the other way. But the Guardians retreat. The irradiated ones are dead. Team North is pulling back. And I thought that was going to be a drop, but instead it's not really. I mean, Whiterow's not really defended that well against drops. And honestly, Spectre isn't either. I feel I can get around that. Storm on the left side. Tanks trying to set up and take out those cannons, and they're doing a pretty good job of it. Unless the Storm wrecks them there. But we're still maxed out. Conviction's maxed out. Friendly's maxed out. That Science Vessel just absolutely ran into its death there. Here's your drop attempt from Friendly. Corsairs and cannons going to try to kill... Oh, one shuttle goes down early. Oh, and the other one goes down pretty early too. Some Zealots get dropped, but immediately taken care of. No problemo there. Team South is continuing to push up. They've got tanks. They've got Marines. They've got a lot of tanks and a lot of Marines here. Zealots trying to get on top of these tanks and clear them out. But the Dragoons are in number to where they can actually chase them away. Our little forward section and center section of cannons look like they're going to be in trouble. Any upgrade on these tanks yet? Yes, 1-1 for Cheat, 1-1 for Legendary. So slowly pushing forward. Reavers here, ultimately going to try to take care of that stuff. Muta tech switch out of Conviction. Again, he's got that 1-1 on the Mutas. Can he fly in here and get something done? Oh, Valkyries. In response to this from Legendary. I'm loving it. Liking it a lot. The Guardians are trying to do stuff. They keep getting irradiated, though, and keep getting shot at by... Oh, boy. Valkyries are such a great answer here, and as well as the Corsairs. Okay, so the Guardian answer is not going very well for Team North at all, but guess who's diving on in? A million Mutalisks, but the presence of missile turrets, the presence of Valkyries, I can see them attacking on in. All of these Mutalisks are going to die without accomplishing a whole lot. Did he infest that command center? Oh my gosh, he got down and infested the command center. It died. Remember how I said that kind of screws you up? It kind of screws you up a little bit. But actually, these command centers are placed fairly well at this stage, and it just messes up gas income more than anything else. Continuing to attack on up here is Team South. They're pushing. There's a Dark Swarm up defensively from Conviction, which is a lot of fun. Huge drop from Whiterow, swinging down the left side right now. Missile turrets are going to try to deal with this thing. Are there enough missile turrets to do this? I don't know. What's going to unload? What is here? Reavers going after these SCVs. Major hits. Major delayed hits on these SCVs. Great storm on that area over there. The combination of storm and Reaver hits is amazing right now out of Whiterow. Continuing to push up the right side, though, is Legendary. He's wrecking these Zealots. They're just not equipped to deal with what Legendary is dealing with. I think Cheat might just kind of be done. He's losing so many SCVs right now. Zealots are fighting against tanks. Zealots are fighting against SCVs. The income right now for Cheat is horrible. He's at 125 total supply. The Valkyries, once again, just trying to wreck these Guardians all over the place right now. That is so many Guardians, though. He's replacing them well. Corsairs cleaning out what is left. Tanks are set up to deal with these Reavers. They might be able to clear them out. Storming the tanks, though. The tanks come in and end up completely dead. More tanks are present, but a decent hit over here on those guys would be amazing. On those SCVs would be incredible. Still, Team South pushing up here. More Guardians. Devourers coming up all the time. Defilers are present. APM for Conviction is 213 right now. How many Reavers are there going to be when all is said and done? They're not actually. They're out of Scarab, so that attack is completely over. But really hurt Cheat a lot. Team South is not in a great position here. Hydra's walking in, getting what? Did they plague their own stuff? Apparently they plagued their own stuff, which seems problematic. Come on, Conviction, you got this. Oh, and a Radiate would be so disgusting on these Guardians right now. Actually, anything is great against these Guardians right now because they have 1 HP combined. It feels like just an amazing display of StarCraft right here. We've got Guardians, Valkyries, we have Dragoons, and Reavers. I just don't see any of these Guardians surviving yet. They're doing pretty well. However, the Irradiate Valkyrie combination is proving a little bit too much, and the Guardians are getting removed here. So once again, Conviction trying to make this thing happen. Not really working out. Devourers doing fantastic work just in damage in general against these Valkyries, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think, to save this one. Anyway, that splash damage alone is insane. Reinforcing Zealots coming down from Whiterot. It's all he's really making right now is Zealots in that production tab, 12 at a time. It looks problematic for Team North right now. I don't know if they can make this thing happen. We are still pushing up with Legendary, with tanks, with Dragoon support. No upgrades on these Dragoons at all from Friendly. Serious Reaver, they're just taking shots is what I'm trying to say here. And yeah, that's amazing. I just can't believe that Mutalisk dive bomb play there was fantastic. We got Lurker set up from Conviction. He's actually consuming Overlords because he doesn't have any Lings to consume to try to get up this Dark Swarm and just flying on in. They're like, we don't see anything to really stop us from doing this. These Valkyries say we don't have any upgrades, but we're going to wipe out your Mutalisk. That's for sure. Ow, 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 ow. Where's your Storm? Storm and a Reaver, says Legendary. Bring it over, please. Zealots wandering on in. What an absolute bloodbath the center of the map has been for the last 10 minutes, it feels like. Just more Goliaths, or more Guardians, rather, in here. There are no Goliaths. Ultralisks running in from Conviction. This is a pretty good Zerg player. He's taken up to all of the things. I like it a lot. That Ultra is going to die, but it's got 3 armor, which is just fantastic stuff there. 4 total armor with the 1 natural. Guardians have died by the dozens, it feels like, but guess what there are more of? Guardians. They're trading on in. They're trying to get rid of Dragoons. They're picking off tanks right now. Conviction's at 139 supply. Spectre is maxed out with what, though? Zealots, I guess? Zealots and Probes, it seems like. Also, he's defending against further drops, I guess. But, man, there's nothing to save these Guardians against these Valkyrie attacks. They're a little bit tankier than I expected them to be, but they are definitely falling by the dozens right now. And there are some Goliaths on the field now. Coming from the Terran players from Team South. More Zealots wandering in to this tank Goliath setup. Whoa! Timing that pretty well. Whiterot and Spectre attacking right on in to Team South's stuff. There are cannons here. They're the bigger concern, I would say. The tank's not a big deal necessarily as they're cutting through those. The Goliaths either, I don't think. But the cannons are just doing a lot of damage to these guys and forcing them back. Well, they're actually dying. They're not even being allowed to retreat here at this stage. Still, the front door of Conviction seems completely wide open right now. A lot of cannons coming up for Whiterot on the left side. A lot of stuff here from Spectre on the right side too. But Conviction's down to 119 supply. Mind Control is on the way from Whiterot. Okay. That's pretty exciting stuff. Yeah, man, these mutas are just not made for this world. Dragoons, we've got to Radiate. Valkyries in here too. It's not a good place to be. That can't even tell it's Devourer until it shoots. It's gone. Defensive Matrix coming up on a couple of these tanks, which seems like a pretty darn good idea. More and more Zealots being produced all the time. Do they have upgrades yet? They do. They got 1-1, which is great, but I think Whiterot, if he's going to just keep flooding the Zealots like this, he needs better upgrades. How about Spectre? He's got 2-2-2. I'm liking it. He's got some cloak in there at the same time, but there are scans, and there are Valkyries chasing these Arbiters away right now. Guess who's back? More Guardians! More Guardians from Conviction. Just helping the Zealots out as best as they can, but still no anti-air here. There's no Hydralisks. There's no Mutas. There's no Devourers at all. Like, defensive Corsairs would be pretty good. I feel like, oh, the Storm is so good. So many Guardians are dying. The resources lost in this game for Conviction is just going to be absolutely miserable for him. He's down to 104 supply. Nobody's closer than 149 to him right now. He is getting pushed, and he's getting pushed hard. Scourge, okay, pretty good. Pretty good there with the Scourge. More Zealots wandering on down. A decent stasis being tossed down on a couple of those units. More Zealots coming in from the left side. It looks like we're coordinating pretty well from Team North. Not too poorly, but there's just so much stuff here from Team South. The push seems inexorable, heading on up towards Conviction's base. They are dealing with Zealot attacks on all sides right now. The tanks are sitting at 2-3 for Legendary and 2-3 for Cheat right now. More Zealots attacking on in. I mean, I really feel like you need to do something else here. I like that you have a lot of Stargates, but you're not really using them for anything right now. Conviction is down under 100 supply. His Guardians are fighting as well as they can. If anything could deal with these Corsairs, it'd be amazing. Everything else, I think, is handleable by these Guardians. The Marines are, for sure. The tanks are absolutely 100% more, for sure. Some Hydras do come out to try to deal with this air stuff. Arbiter's actually fighting against Corsair, which is kind of weird. A lot of stasis up here, trying to hold, trying to push this back. Team North, I just don't know, man. They're throwing themselves against the waves and trying to win, but there's just so many tanks continually pouring out of Team South right now. Again, the Zealots are winning these fights. I think they're being pretty cost-effective about it, but they just aren't producing fast enough. Irradiate on additional Guardians up here. Hydralisks fighting, taking tank shots to the face, Dragoon shots to the face. More Zealots coming in from Whiterot. He's just in panic mode right now, just making as many Zealots as he can, bringing them all in at the same time, trying to thin out the ranks of these tanks. If they can, I just don't know if they can. It's 189, 199, 158 for Team South. Everybody is just absolutely making whatever they want. They're not on their back foot. They're not being bothered by much of anything right now. Slowly. This has been the slowest push I think I've ever seen in StarCraft, where Conviction is just, he's finally seeing enemies coming in at his hatchery. Dark Swarm comes up, which I like. I like seeing Dark Swarm come from Conviction. But it doesn't help the Guardians at all. And it doesn't help anything not inside the Dark Swarm, including those Defilers. Big Guardians sweep in from the left side here, though. Okay, not too bad. They have the upgrades. They've got 3-3. Which makes them pretty scary. These Dragoons will trade okay against them. They'll also die real fast. The tanks are not going to make it happen, though. The tanks are absolutely not going to make it happen. Look who's back, man. Cheat is back. He has no problem. He's back on his feet. He's back up to 171 supply. Ling's continuing to cruise on in here, and it's just, I don't see, this is it. It's just Zealots, man. He's trying to tech into something else. He's trying to get up a ton of Stargates here. Also, somebody else is researching mind control. Spectre is. I don't know for what purpose exactly. I don't know why he'd be doing that, but anyway, I mean, Conviction's fighting hard. I got to give him an A just for effort right here. He has been making wave after wave of Guardians just to deal with this the only way that he really knows how. There's tanks that'll wreck everything on the ground of his. Sure, these Valkyries ruin his day from time to time, but I mean, he needs to deal with the Dragoons and the tanks, and everything else will kind of fall into place. At that point, he feels like he's making Zerglings that are cruising on down into these tank lines, getting right on top of the tanks. They have adrenal glands. They also have upgrades. 3-3. These are true cracklings coming on down right now. This is pretty good stuff from Team North. I'm liking it. It's pushing the attack back. Nothing is directly threatening that hatchery anymore. Boy, these Guardians keep taking that splash damage from the Valkyries, though. And the Irradiates are just consistent here out of Cheat, too. Cheat knows what he's doing. His APM was almost 300. They're pushing up towards Whiterot's base right now. I mean, I just don't see how Team North gets out of this position. What are you going to make out of here? Oh, carrier. Carrier transition out of Whiterot. I'm liking it. Who else is making carriers right now? Production tab says nobody. Nobody's making carriers. Thank you for asking. We're going to make carriers, though. We're going to try to deal with this the old-fashioned way. But here we go. Pushing up Goliaths, tanks, and Dragoons. A pretty iconic situation here. That Defiler pops out and dies before he can escape. More. Oh, these probes actually coming in to free up supply. I feel like that's what's happening here from Whiterot. Zealots coming in there as well. You really can't make these come any faster. Carriers produce about as quickly as watching paint dry. So again, just the inexorable, never gonna stop push here from Team South. They keep rolling up more tanks. They keep rolling up more Dragoons. These Dragoons now have 2 from Friendly. He's just doing nothing but produce Dragoons right now. Getting another Ford, I suppose, for further upgrades. Again, Dark Swarm is great. It doesn't help your air units at all, which is primarily what you're going with right now. More probes coming in to die. Again, I just got to be to free up supply. Like, Whitera has a ton of money. What he doesn't have is available supply. He's working on carriers. He's working on interceptors for them. What is a disruption web on the way from Whitera too? Okay. All right. We might see some disruption web play here today. That's what I like about these games. We see Corsairs. We don't see Corsairs. We see Valkyries. We don't ever really see a lot of here in the 1v1s that I cast. We're going to see disruption web on the Corsairs too. All right, the carriers are here. Ooh, the storm drop, though. Getting some stuff done. Who was that? Cheat says carrier. Carrier has arrived. Spectre's working on carrier, too. He's working on that upgrade to increase the number of interceptors on your carriers. Man, Lurkers coming up, Lings coming up, Mutas all over the place. This Muta flying who knows where to die. I guess he might be scouting there is what might be happening. So the thing about the carriers is I don't think they have great upgrades because they haven't been working on air upgrades. This Reaver has 5 kills, doing pretty well for himself there, continuing to push up. These hatcheries are once again in trouble for conviction. It's just been an absolutely, you cannot stop us push from Team South here. More and more tanks rolling in, more and more Marines rolling in here too. Cheat says go. What? Are we pushing on the Zerg? Feels like we are, but the carriers are dive bombing in from the top side right now. EMPs would be amazing here. There we go. I was going to say, where are the EMPs? There they are. We got the EMPs. They're ready to rock. The carriers are fighting, trying to take down some of these Dragoons here. Nothing really attacking the body of these carriers. The tanks are like, you know what? Screw it. We don't care if there are tanks overhead. Nothing's going to bother us for now, except maybe some Zerglings that come cruising on in, which is a bit of a concern, to be sure, but we got defensive matrix up. The Lings are going to get destroyed by tanks, especially if they're 3-3 tanks and their buddies are covering them there. Man, I think we're losing interceptors out of Whitera's carrier group. It looks like they took care of a lot of those science vessels. And defensive matrix coming up on a Dragoon, which is not something you see all the time on the channel for sure. Yeah, man, these hatcheries just keep getting destroyed. With it, every bit of production that Conviction is capable of using to make the giant armies he's been making this entire game. He's making 11 Hydras at a time, but I can tell you that's not going to be enough. He's fighting as hard as he can right now. Defensive matrix on a lot of these tanks, actually. Friendly throwing out the offensive GG. Legendary also doing the same thing, the offensive GG here. It is going to be, yeah, 27 supply for Conviction. He has just been absolutely picked on this entire game by all 3 of his opponents down to the south. It's not looking good for him at all. He's losing his tech structures. All of his drones are going to die, and that's going to be all she wrote for him. Now, Friendly trying to sneak up here, get something up to the front. Meanwhile, Cheat is pushing over here on Whitera with a lot of science vessels and a lot of tanks. Looks like we're heading up. Yeah, we're kind of leaving this dude alone. This Dark Archon, did he try to mind control a drone? He's over here thinking about it. I can tell you that much. I'm not sure if he's going to pull it off or not. But he's absolutely thinking about it here. This is a largely tank army dealing with carrier. It's not great. You're going to kill a lot of the Stargates. I understand that, but you're also not going to kill the carriers very effectively. Where did that guy go? That Dark Archon left, you guys. I don't know where he went. I don't know if he successfully managed to escape with a mind control drone. I don't think he did. Just looking at the purple. Or I guess it'd be the... wait, who's... I don't... Whose was that? I'm just realizing now, the only player it could have been was Friendly's, and I didn't see any yellow on the minimap right there. Yeah, man, that's it. I mean, oh, these carriers were fighting, but these Goliaths are just made perfectly to take them down. Carriers are exploding. That's the sound of carriers dying. Reavers pushing up here on Spectre. I really wish Spectre would have gone for something other than just a whole ton of zealots and maybe some drops. And I guess he was trying to go carrier at some point too, but I don't know if it ever really worked out for him. I don't know if I saw an attack of his at all at any point. But yeah, if the Goliaths could get everything together here, they could actually get rid of all of these carriers, and that would be all she wrote here. White Rose down to 136 supply. Everybody else is basically maxed out in Team South. Spectre is maxed out on what? I don't know. He's got a handful of Zealots. Does he just have a hajillion probes? Is that what it is? He just has all the probes in the entire world. So friendly. Oh, that's it. So we're done. Team South manages to get the win there. 29 minutes and 58 seconds. Well played by them. That was not easy. That was a lot of macro back home. That was pushing up the front. That was pushing forward and sieging and Dragoon support and irradiating Goliath or Guardians as well as you could. Try to pick them off with the Valkyries and with the Corsairs. Just beautiful, beautiful play. The Zerg player could not hold against the onslaught. I really wish that their Protoss teammates would have tech switched to something else a little bit sooner. The carriers were nice, but they weren't enough. They just weren't enough. They couldn't kill things fast enough. They're dealing with problems of their own. And as a result, they eventually got pushed back, and Conviction was toast. And that was it. So Team South is your winner there. And that's going to be it from me. So let's go ahead and check out that final score. Like I mentioned previously, it's not going to be great for Conviction. He produced 901 units, and this isn't just Zerglings, you guys. This is not him just pumping Zerglings for the entire 29 minutes. These are Guardians, Hydralisks. He made a ton of Mutas. Obviously, that's kind of the same thing, though. Killed 408 units and lost 800 of that 900. Legendary killed 858 units with his Terran army. That is the winner here today. Who lost the fewest is the question. Looks like Cheat lost the... Nope, actually Friendly lost the fewest there. Never really was bothered by anybody. Right, both his teammates got dropped on at some point and took some shots that way, but Friendly was just kind of generally left alone. Resources here, Friendly winning the overall score there, as well as winning Minerals Mined. No, actually not winning any direct category, but being like top 2 in all 3 of them, and that's going to be enough to win it. So, great job by him. Great job by everybody. Man, let's go ahead and give everybody a good hand, and that's going to be it from me. Okay, so this has been Falcon Paladin with yet another StarCraft Brood War Remastered upload. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, where I am playing Warcraft 2 right now, if you like that older Blizzard stuff. You can also find me on Patreon if you're interested. We already said that one there, but until next time, as always, thanks for hanging out. And thanks for spending your day with me, or your half an hour with me. And until next time, as always, you take care of yourself.